What's up, idiots? Welcome back. Okay, Swing Dynasty. I've got a lessons to be learned from previous drafts. I don't know that there's the takeaways are kind of make it hard to draw a lot from this, other than it's hard to rely on the draft to build your team. It really can be. That's kind of what I took away. That's like a sneak peek at what's coming up. Not a lot of consistent lessons that I could really figure out here, but we're gonna look through. We're gonna look at what the data tells us. This is not the most scientific thing. I tried to look at ways to rank these players, but a lot of it's just like, yeah, that's not a good pick. If they were never a top 10 at their position or a top 12, basically a number one at their position, if they haven't been significant starters, I rated each player as a bad pick. Okay, so it might be that they've spent too much time in the injured reserve. Maybe when they've been in, they've been good, but they haven't affected your team. They got a bad pick rating there. Then I also looked at who's a good pick, who's an every week starter for your team. You can put them in every week. You can expect them to score for you. For the majority of their career. Okay, maybe there have been an injured season or two, but we're only going back 5 years here. I mean, 5 years of drafts, I think, 4 really, because I'm not using this last year's draft as part of the percentages because I don't think we have enough data on them yet. But that's what I did. I went through and looked at good picks. I went through and looked at bad picks, and then who's kind of in the middle is like, this is an okay pick. You can start this guy. These might not reflect how you would view each of these players, but this is what I did. Okay, this is how I marked each one, and I did try to look at their finishes and say, have they been consistent starters for you at any point? All right, so going back to our first draft, it was the 2020 draft was our first rookie draft. 2019 we had our startup draft. 32 rounds, crazy long draft, and we included rookies in that one. So going the next year to 2020, okay, Sean had the number 1 pick, and he chose Clyde Edwards-Helaire. That was our first rookie pick in our league, and I have Clyde marked as a bad pick. I don't think you've ever been able to say, yeah, I can start this guy and have a RB1 in my lineup. I just don't think that's ever happened. Not even really an RB2. It was a very exciting thing when he got drafted. It shifted because like Jonathan Taylor and DeAndre Swift and J.K. Dobbins were really the 3 that was like, who's going to be first? And then Clyde went. So that was our very first pick. I'm marking that as a bad pick, okay? Followed by DeAndre Swift. I marked that as an okay pick. You've been able to play DeAndre Swift throughout his career. That was a fill pick, I believe. We're not really getting into who drafted these players. This isn't about who's drafted well. It's just about at each place in the draft, what was taken and was it a good pick, and what can we learn from that? The third pick was CeeDee Lamb. That's marked as a great pick, a good pick, okay? Then Jonathan Taylor, also a good pick. So they got green. They got flagged as green in my rankings here. J.K. Dobbins was next that season, and he's going to be marked as an okay pick. And then the rest of the first round is bad. It's Keyshawn Vaughn. It's Jerry Jeudy. This last season does not do enough to move him out of a bad pick. It's Zach Moss, it's Cam Akers, and it's Henry Ruggs. Zach Moss and Cam Akers, neither one ever managed to become an RB2, ever, in their career so far. And Henry Ruggs is in jail, I'm pretty sure, still. So one subpar season and then jail. Okay, on to 2021. So that means basically our first draft, we had 2 good picks in CeeDee Lamb and Jonathan Taylor, and 2 okay picks with DeAndre Swift and J.K. Dobbins. Not great for the first round. Obviously, that's a 20% good rate and 40% okay to good rate. So that you're seeing what you're getting with these draft picks in the rookie drafts here right off the bat. Year 2 is a little more promising, okay, a little bit better. Kyle Pitts was the first pick. That's a bad draft pick. He's not even really startable consistently for a tight end, which is problematic. His rookie year looked like it'd be great. Looked like it might become worth it. It hasn't been. Maybe you could say this is an okay pick, but I'm putting Kyle Pitts as a bad pick right now. The next 3 were good picks: Jamar Chase, Najee Harris, and Travis Etienne. All have been consistently startable. Obviously, Jamar Chase is a superstar. So those are 3 good picks in a row in that draft. Javonte Williams, I have marked as an okay. At first I had him marked as a bad, but he did have an RB2 season, I believe. And so he's getting an okay. You've been able to play him off and on somewhat consistently. So he gets an okay pick. Then it's Michael Carter. I have that marked as a bad pick. Next, Jalen Waddle. I have it marked as an okay pick. This is my own pick, so I can say what I want about it. I have not been able to consistently start him because of injury. He's always injured, and he gets hurt every single game, it feels like. So he's an okay pick right now. Potential for a good pick, great pick, but right now I personally view as an okay pick. Then it was Trey Sermon, bad pick. Then Devonta Smith, good pick. Okay, that's another good pick. So we got 4 good picks in the first round of 2021. And then Terrace Marshall, bad pick, red. So in 2021, we had 4 good first round picks, 2 okay first round picks, and 4 bad picks. So yeah, again, a better year. That's one of the better years in here. It's not even the best, I don't think, but it's a good year. In 2022, we started out, the draft was on fire at the top, okay? You go Breece Hall, Ken Walker, Drake London, and Garrett Wilson. Those are 4 good picks. Those are 4 startable every week players. Drake London had a top 5 performance season long this year, I believe, or this year. And Garrett Wilson had a top 10 performance this year. Breece Hall and Ken Walker, or Breece Walker is what I would think I was about to say there. They've both been startable running backs when they play, when they are healthy. They've both been good. They haven't always been the best situation, but still, you can start those guys week in and week out. Doesn't mean you're always happy with it, but you have the faith to try it. So 4 good picks in a row, and those are the last good picks of the 2022 first round that were good picks. Treylon Burks at 5, bad pick. Okay, Jameson Williams at 6, okay pick. Sky Moore at 7, bad pick. And then George Pickens, Chris Olave, and Christian Watson, okay picks. Chris Olave is the only one that I was like going back and forth about, but he has never had the finish that you want to see. I can't remember what, but it was definitely not a wide receiver 1 or 2 finish. He might have had some 2s. Might have had some wide receiver 2 finishes. He's only been in the league 2 years, but yeah, I think so. Yeah. Oh no, 3 years? Fuck. 3 years. And I think he's had 1 or 2 wide receiver 2 seasons. So, but he's been hurt a lot of injured, a lot of bad play. So in 2022, you had 4 rookie picks, first rounders that were good picks. Okay, so 4, and then you had 4 that were okay picks. So 80% of that first round was okay, actually, which is good. I think that's the best one we have. I'm looking down. It's tied. Yeah, there's a couple that are like that. There's the next one too. 2023 started out similar, 3 in a row, good picks. Before this year, it wouldn't have gone that way. I wouldn't have said that because it's Bijan, it's Jackson Smith and Jigba, and it's Jahmyr Gibbs. Jackson Smith and Jigba did not have a good rookie season. I get it. This is why I'm not including last year's rookies, because now he had a top 10 season this year. So he did have a top 10 season this year. Jahmyr and Bijan are obvious. They're great picks here. So we went 3 in a row again to start. So the top 3 has been really good in 2022 and 2023. 3 of the top 4 in 2021. So overall, those picks do seem to actually hit a lot more often. You would expect them to, of course, but it does actually seem to play out that way. 4th was Jordan Addison. Okay, he's an okay pick. He was good when without Justin Jefferson, but again, this isn't about talent. This is about how has it impacted your team, and he's been okay. He's been okay for your team. Phil's not starting him every week, so that says something right there. Quentin Johnston, I have it as a bad pick right now. It looked like there was some potential, but that's not what we're looking at here. We're looking at it has not impacted Sean's team well to have Quentin Johnston right now. And then we got Anthony Richardson and Bryce Young, both okay picks, both startable. Okay, maybe not what Sean was hoping for, but now Bryce Young looks like he's getting better. Anthony Richardson looks like he's getting worse. They could end up being a good pick for Bryce Young and a bad pick for Anthony Richardson in a couple of years, but right now I have them both as okay. Then we got Zay Flowers and CJ Stroud. Okay, both. So wide receiver Zay Flowers, okay pick, startable for sure, not every week. And CJ Stroud, startable, but his finish was actually a lot worse than I thought it was. Last year and this year. Last year neither one was he a QB1, which I was kind of surprised about after his rookie season seemed so good. And then to round out the 2023 first round, we had Kendre Miller. Bad pick so far. Okay, I am not including the 2024 kids in the percentages I'm about to share, but I'm going to go through them anyways because it was a good draft so far, what it looks like. And there's a big shift with this being a Superflex league now, because all of a sudden you get Marvin Harrison, okay pick so far. If you started him every week this last year, you were disappointed quite a few times. I think it'll end up being a good pick, but that's where we're at right now. Caleb Williams was number 2. I have it as an okay pick. It almost wanted to put it bad. I just didn't think I could put it bad this early in a quarterback's career in a Superflex. It's probably a good pick. Then it was Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, both good picks. Rome Odunze I put as a bad pick so far, just because it's unstartable and it's not right now it's a bad pick, but again, I'm not counting any of these. Bo Nix and Drake May I have as good picks. JJ McCarthy as a bad pick just because we haven't seen him. Brock Bowers and Michael Penix both as good picks. Okay, so let's go through that. That's 2024. It's very little meaning there. Don't worry about those rankings. I'm not judging those picks at this point. It's just after one season, what did I see? But they're not included in what I'm about to do next, which is the takeaways from this. Okay, so that's a lot of names, a lot of information coming at you. So let's synthesize it a little bit. Let's get some generalizations. Okay, here's the takeaways. In the first round, four of them, 2020 through 2023, there were 17 running backs taken in the first round. 17. Okay. There was 19 wide receivers taken, 3 QBs all in the last 2 years, and 1 tight end. 3 QBs not all in the last 2 years, because there's a lot more this last year. The 3 QBs were all in 2023, okay? The last year before we went to Superflex. And then there was 1 tight end taken. Brock Bowers did not count for this because he's in 2024, okay? So from 2020 to 2023, 17 running backs, 19 wide receivers, 3 QBs, and 1 tight end, okay? Is there a position that tends to fare stronger in the first round that we draft? So let's break it down. Running back, the good picks, out of 17 running backs taken, 7 of them were good picks. That's 41%. That's not bad, honestly. I've always heard the first round is about 33% hit rate. It's about a third to 50% hit rate, to about a half, okay? So running backs for us fall right in that range of good picks, 41%. Okay picks, there's 3 of them for 17%. So we are hitting more than half on running backs, saying we are at about 58% for good or okay running backs. Not as high as you'd want, not as high as you hope from a first rounder, but 58% okay to good, 41% good. Not bad, okay? You almost have a 50-50 chance of hitting a good. And remembering that we had one that was like the first pick, and he was bad. But the rest that have been drafted high, drafted in the top 4, here's the running backs taken in the top 4 for us so far. So we have our Clyde Edwards-Helaire, okay? We have DeAndre Swift and Jonathan Taylor. We have Najee Harris and Travis Etienne. We have Breece Hall and Ken Walker. We have Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs. And that's it. Not bad. Those are pretty good picks, okay? You're happy with most of those guys. You're getting starters out of most of those guys. Bad picks, 7 of them. 7 out of 17. So 41% are bad picks, okay? That's your Clyde. That's your Trey Sermon. That's your Michael Carter. That's your Zach Moss. That's your Cam Akers. That's your Kendre Miller. And guess where they are taken? Almost, other than Clyde, they are all taken after pick 5. All of them taken after pick 5, okay? Keyshawn Vaughn, Zach Moss, Cam Akers, Michael Carter, Trey Sermon, Kendre Miller, all taken in the back half of the first round. So you can see a huge difference there in taking running back in that zone, in that second part of the first half, or the second half of the first round. Things fall off. Like, I wish I should have this on a screencast so you guys can see it. But when I'm looking at this, it's like green, yellow, red is the average. Okay, you get to the end of the first round even, and these picks start to fall off. They start to get pretty bad. Okay, let's look at wide receivers now. Wide receivers, 19 were taken. So 2 more than running backs, and 7 of them, 7 out of 17 were good picks. That's 37%. So we were more successful hitting on running backs than we were on wide receivers. But as far as good picks, but 6 of them were okay picks. So that's 32%. So you put them together and 69% were good to okay picks. And a lot of these guys are going to be around longer and probably develop their skills more than a lot of the running backs we're talking about. So the good to okay receivers, CeeDee Lamb, well, that's it for the first year. It was CeeDee Lamb. That's it. CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, Devonta Smith, Drake London, Garrett Wilson, Jameson Williams, George Pickens, Chris Olave, Christian Watson, Jackson Smith, Jordan Addison, Zay Flowers. Okay. Not as many taken in the top 5, but or in the top 3, I should say, but quite a few in the top 5. Okay. So we had 69% of our wide receivers in the first round hit compared to 58% of our running backs hit. And bad picks, only 32%, compared to 41% of our running backs being bad picks. Okay. So we are hitting more often on wide receivers. Again, I think part of that is just the league is more of a passing league. So there's more, the ball's being thrown around a lot more. You don't see as many of the workhorse running backs. All right, QBs, we had 3 taken. They were all 3 okay, 100% okay. We're going to see something with the second round picks, though, that actually is interesting with QBs. All right, tight ends, we only had 1 taken. It was Kyle Pitts, and it's a bad pick. Okay, the Brock Bowers was an exception last year. Right now, it looks like a good to great pick. So, but with Kyle Pitts being marked as a bad pick, that makes, for the years I'm counting, 100% of our tight ends picked were bad. Okay. All right. So the overall numbers, first round at 40 picks total. Okay. 4 years, 10 picks around. Out of those 40 picks, we had 14 good picks. 14. That's 35%. This falls in line with everything I've always heard, is that there is about a 30 to 50% hit rate for first round picks in Dynasty Fantasy Football. We had 12 okay picks, that's 30%. So together we're at 65%, and we have 35% bad picks. So you have 1/3 of a chance to get a star, you have 1/3 of a chance to get an okay guy, and you have 1/3 of a chance to get a bad guy. And it really does follow the top 5, top 3 or 4 tend to be those green, the middle 3 or 4 tend to be those yellows, and the bottom 3 or 4 tend to be those reds. Okay, so even at the end of the first round, we are already in a crapshoot, hoping. I mean, I see one player, aside from last year, one player in the bottom 3 of the first round who was a good pick, and that was Devonta Smith. Bottom 3. Jalen Waddle was debatable, but he was at 7th. He wasn't 8, 9, or 10. Devonta Smith is the only player in the bottom 3 that right now is clearly a good pick. Now, obviously, you got CJ Stroud, who might end up there. You've got Chris Olave, who might end up there. And that's kind of it. That's kind of it, guys. Those last 3 picks of the first round are red. They are red all over the place for us. Last year, though, now that we're in Superflex, Brock Bowers, Michael Penix, J.J. McCarthy. That could be changing things. That could change the way these picks look for us going forward. It's part of the reason to go to Superflex is it increases value of all players. It increases values of quarterback, which pushes down players, other positions in the draft, and makes those picks more valuable. So it's part of the reason to go to Superflex. All right, so that's the first round. Now, here's our good picks from those 4 years. These are all of the good picks from the second round. Justin Jefferson, T. Higgins, Joe Burrow, Tua, Michael Pittman, Brandon Ayuk, I'm putting him there. He had 2 good seasons. Justin Herbert, Amon-Ra for sure, James Cook for sure, Trey McBride for sure, Brian Robinson, I'll give it to him, and Devon Achane. Okay, those are, from me going through, those are every pick that I saw in the second round that was a good pick. That's 12 guys out of 40. So, and this is good and okay. I'm saying good and okay. Decent players who can get starts on your team. For all 4 years, 12 of them, okay? That compares to 26 from the first round. 14 for the goods, 12 for the okays. 12 for all 4 years. That's 30% hit rate in the second round. So we go from a 65% hit rate in the first round for good and okay to 30% in the second round, good and okay. And some of these are really good. I mean, that's the crazy thing about the second round. Some of the best players in our league are in that second round there. And again, the quarterback shift has changed that. This will look different. I mean, I plan to do this type of video again after maybe a couple more years and see where we are after the Superflex effect has set in. And then you go into the third round. Here's our good third round picks: Justin Fields, Chuba Hubbard, Kyren Williams, Rashee Rice, Sam Laporta, Jaden Reed, Chase Brown, and Ramondre Stevenson. He had a top 10. I'm putting him in there. He had a top 10 season. He gets an okay for that, okay? That's 8 players out of 40, which is 20% hit rate, okay? So we go in the first round, you have a 65% chance of at least getting an okay player. In the second round, it drops to 30%, and in the third round, it drops to 20%. So those top picks are the most likely. I need to go through and put those numbers together. Like, I mean, just looking at it right now, though, the first year, the top 4 picks, it's a 50% good, 75% good or okay. Second year, 75% good or okay. Third year, 100%. Top 4 picks. That's our. I'm saying that because that's our lottery group. Okay, so first year, 75% good or okay, 50% good. Second year, 75% good. There's no okay. It's either good or bad. Fourth year, 100% good. All 4 are green. Third year, 100% good or okay, 75% of them are good. And then after that, it gets to a whole bunch of yellows and reds, and it's bad, okay? I do think last year, the 2024 class is going to change all of this because of the Superflex and the way quarterbacks are pushing down other positions. There's going to be more value. There's going to be more value to find at the end of the first and the beginning of the second from now on. But that's what I found, you guys. It's interesting. Like, those top picks really are so much more valuable. Okay, they are a lot more valuable. But they also can be about a 25 to 30% fail rate. It's kind of nuts how high some of these fail rates are for these picks. And even the goods, the okays, are a fair amount of them also. So, but really, I mean, we're doing a pretty close to even. We're doing better with running backs than we are with wide receivers. But not when we take into okays. So the okays, okay and good. Wide receivers are better. Just goods. Running backs are better. Quarterback, it's inconclusive. Tight end, it's going to be about 50-50 if Brock Bowers keeps up. But yeah, I mean, you got to get those top picks. You got to hit those top picks because there's a lot of missed picks still in Dynasty Fantasy Football. Okay, that's it, guys. That's 22 minutes of analysis of our past drafts. Hope it was meaningful to you. It was fun for me to do. This is one of my favorite videos I've done the research for. So yeah, anyways, peace out. Hope you enjoyed.